Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm Shiv.
I'm Chitra.
And I'm Gayatri.
We bring you interesting, untold stories of people
Associated with the creation
Or consumption of software-based solutions.
You'll hear stories of what worked,
and sometimes what didn't,
you will also hear very personal experiences.
and insights that would trigger your thoughts
And inspire you to do even greater things.
Just be open and do what you think is right? Because you never know what could turn into something as an opportunity.
Today, you are meeting Anuradha Venkatesh, who's a RPA, AI and ML lead with Ford Motor Company. Talks about several firsts, including being the first engineer in her family and trying to move from building a bridge, physical bridge, to actually venturing into software in GIS, in using Java and using BI. And she shares her very interesting journey and how she continues to be excited about learning and exploring new frontiers. Listen on. Good morning, Anu. Welcome to the Software People Stories. I'm happy to have you on board.
Good morning, Gayatri. Happy to be here and excited to talk to you today.
As we do with all our guests, we want you to get started with your career. How do you introduce yourself?
So today I am part of Ford Motor Company. I'm leading a work stream for marketing, sales, and service, managing the applications under the portfolio of service marketing, as well as all the automations which are to do with RPA, AI, and ML in the marketing, sales, and service space for Ford Motor IT. So that's my current position. But of course, my journey through the years has been a long one, now almost close to 28 years now behind me. I did my schooling in Baroda till my 12th. I was there. And then I moved to Regional Engineering College, which is NIT Warangal. I did my civil engineering there and graduated in 1992, looking out for civil engineering jobs. Of course, those days, civil was not an exciting career, especially for women. But yes, I did get started with that. Did a few buildings, a few bridges, which I'm still proud of. And then I got married and moved to Calcutta with my husband. There, I set up a small firm of my own to do some design consultancy for civil engineering. So again, built a few stuff. Very proud of a few bridges which I'd built on the Sundarbans. And then, like any women, right, I had to go on a maternity leave. I was going to have my daughter and took my break. I was off for almost 6 months. After my break, we moved to Delhi. And there is where I actually started getting involved in software, moved from civil engineering into something more easier to work with, like software, which was something called Geographic Information Systems. I don't know if many of you would know. This is to do with a lot of map data. Very, very different software engineering approach. I was happy to get my break there. Of course, there was a little touch of civil engineering there because, maps and civil engineering go together. So that's how I started my software career. I was there for a couple of years in Delhi. Then I did a 6-month stint in Mumbai in the hope of moving to US on a H-1B for my Y2K projects. But unfortunately, that did not happen as planned. So moved back to Delhi and then another year. And then in the year 2000, I actually shifted to Chennai. I was part of Hexaware Technologies, joined there as the project lead for Java. And that's when actually I moved into mainstream software development. Those were exciting times, a lot of mainframe. Java was new. Everything was hands-on, right? We did not really have so many tools to drag and drop and create things on the fly. Everything had to be manually coded, getting every piece of information from the database to, configurations. The XML was just coming in. It was all CSV files and all that. So it was that really exciting journey, learning software and becoming an expert in Java. So I grew up in Hexaware to become the architect for Java. And I was very, very happy to and excited about being part of Java Technologies, the J2E framework. The approach to, interoperability and all this was really exciting stuff for me. And that's how I grew up in Hexaware. And in 2006, I moved to HP as a program manager, HP Global Soft, based out of Chennai. Started managing large programs, huge in size and complexity. Those were the exciting times I had in HP. Of course, Java was a cornerstone of my career. So I was having fun doing a lot of that with a larger program, right? Close to 150 people and almost 3 years and heavy complexity. So I had fun with that. And then moved to data warehousing. BI and data warehousing was really happening, late 2007, 2008, when BI was really kicking in and we needed people to make the move. I was a little hesitant to move away from Java, but then I realized quickly that how exciting a BI career can be. So moved my journey into BI and started experimenting with all kinds of principles on data warehousing and reporting and all that fun stuff with so many different technologies. Was there with HP till 2010 doing that, and then moved to Capgemini. Capgemini, again, I was leading a large BI engagement for them. So that's how I grew up in Capgemini, had fun with a lot of different principles, learned a lot about data. And data became my favorite topic, right? Always, if somebody asks me, what is your favorite thing? What do you think we should be working on? I would say data, right? That's because it's such an important aspect of software engineering that if you don't know your data, if you don't understand your data, then whatever you do is not going to be successful. So absolutely, I think data is the cornerstone of any software engagement. So BI and data was with me for another 4 years with Capgemini. And then after that, in 2014, I moved to Ford Motor Company. And that's when it all started going in various directions. Ford Motor Company is known for its variety of flavors and the roles that we get to play. And absolutely nothing is restricted in terms of what you can do. So again, moving from consulting into a captive mode was a very different experience for me. I started my journey with Ford as business and IT strategy manager. So strategy is a very misused word, right? So of course, I had my own understanding of what I think is strategy. And then when I got involved, I, of course, got a very different perspective of what is strategy. But it was good to learn the entire business of how software is handled in Ford Motor Company. A strategy role gave me a very, very good perspective of the entire organization, how it comes together and how it delivers a software program. That was about 2 years into Ford. And then I was moved to China on an ISE, International Service Engagement role, where I was managing a marketing and IT program, which is Lincoln Sales and Marketing program. That was, again, a very, very interesting program because it was both vertical sliver for Lincoln and then a horizontal sliver because it had to go across all the different work streams for just Lincoln purposes, right? Okay. So I could quickly learn everything from how product development is done to manufacturing to delivery, marketing, as well as after sales, right? So that's the end-to-end view of how Ford or any automotive company would work, right? So the whole liver of end-to-end activity across all the applications for Lincoln. So 2 fun-filled years in China. Loved the Chinese food, language, learned a bit of Tai Chi. So had a lot of fun going around different countries, meeting people, and seeing the vibrant aspects of China. And then back in Chennai, again, part of marketing, sales, and service. And I was leading a large order management, order to delivery solutioning, which was extremely complex and multi-year engagement. So I was managing that. And then in 2019, world again changed completely when I was asked to pick up a role for RPA, AI, and ML. And I thought I was too old to learn anything new.
Okay.
And I tried convincing my supervisor that, this is probably not the right thing for me. I'm too old and I don't think I can do this. Can you give me some Java or BI kind of stuff? And I'm comfortable with that, or anything which is even large programs. I'm good with that. So it doesn't scare me, but new technology, it definitely scares me a bit. So that's how I got into this role. My supervisor told me, don't worry, you'll be okay. Go ahead and explore. So it's been an exciting 1.5 years learning new technology, and still I seem to still have the ability to learn something new. So I'm really happy to see that progress which has happened so far. So yeah, RPA, AI, and ML have been the new learnings in my life. Of course, I'm also doing a lot of other functional delivery engagements, and the latest of it, which I'm really excited about in 2021, is my journey into e-commerce, implementing some of the e-commerce websites for Ford Motor Company.
What an amazing journey, Anu. I have so many questions to ask. First and foremost is, you spoke about building bridges, right? Civil engineering. And you also spoke about being a business and strategy lead when you came to Ford. In fact, I kind of felt, although there were 2 decades of difference, that's a bridge, the physical bridge. Strategy and business lead must be a technology bridge between business and the technology, right? Is that how to read about it? And any interesting stories there?
Yeah, actually, the initial journey with building bridges, of course, that was real fun because, I don't know if, and it was a very unique bridge which I had built on Sundarbans. It's called a pontoon bridge. So it's got one edge on the soil and the other edge is on a floating platform in the water, so that cars can come till the platform and then they get onto a boat, a larger boat, and then they can be shipped to the other bank. So that was, of course, a very different bridge which I built and I'm very proud of. When I moved into the strategy and business office role, I was thinking it was going to be some kind of a strategy on IT technologies, larger architecture, landscape, or what systems to implement in which space. That's my vision of strategy which I had. But this was all about how we are managing our financials, what do we invest on, how do I manage my headcount, should we grow, should we not grow? So it was a completely different view of strategy which I was part of, but I did have fun. I did create my dashboards. Coming from BI backgrounds, I created a whole lot of dashboards which helped the organization to see various strategies and see how we could connect the dots into many of them. That actually was really helpful because I did not have that mindset of working for a larger organization in terms of how you understand financials, how do you work with a lot of legal implications, how do you manage your accounting process, as well as the bridge between how much do you grow in what you have, right? And how do you invest, right? So that was a different kind of experience, but a good learning for me.
Excellent, yeah. In fact, when we look at it, most of the times when we go with a curious mindset, just a beginner mindset, a lot of doors end up opening for us, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I can give you a few examples on that. I've had some great examples in my career. The first one I can probably share is when I was just a software engineer, like I said, in Delhi. I joined as a QA engineer. So my job was to check the map data. Map data is obviously you have the hard copy maps and then you're digitizing. So you need to look at whether everything is there in the map and all that. So it was not a very exciting job, but still, as a beginner, obviously you don't get to choose too much. So there was this, whenever we had free time, like typical junior engineers, right? We would play games, Prince of Persia and Pac-Man. Those were the games in those days. So we would play all that, but I was games also. So then I just was walking around and I looked at a cupboard which was not maintained. It had a lot of files and it was all dusty and not set up properly. So then I said, hey, let's clean this up. And I actually started cleaning that shelf and setting the files properly. And the others were laughing at me and said, hey, this is not an engineer's job. Why are you doing it? right? But what happened was, obviously, to clean and put it right, I had to look at the documents and then file it into the documents and then put it right. After 2 weeks, I heard a conversation where our director was talking to my manager saying that they're looking for some document which they're not able to find. And absolutely, it was urgent, and people were just running around in a panic mode. And I said, hey, I think I saw it there. Sorry for overhearing your conversation, but I think I saw it there, right? And it was there, and it was so important. It made so much difference. And it just happened that, next 2-3 times it happened that I was able to find the information for whoever was asked. So I was just a junior engineer for 6 months. After that, I was made the MIS manager because I knew where to find the information.
In fact, I was thinking it's like a GIS data, that has geographical information on where everything is inside the organization.
Yeah, that was one experience I wanted to share, that just be open and do what you think is right? Because you never know what could turn into something as an opportunity. The second experience probably I can share is when I was with Hexaware, I was supposed to travel to Minneapolis for an engagement where we were supposed to calculate the center of gravity of the aircraft. Okay. So very interesting project. How do you calculate when you load the various weight? Where do you put in the hold? How do you place the cargo? Where do you keep your, other stuff? So there's a lot of different things based on which you have to calculate the center of gravity. And that's a very important calculation for the airline industry. So I was very excited to be part of that program. And I was supposed to travel on the Saturday. And what happened was, on Thursday night, there was this other peer who was supposed to travel to New York for Citibank North America. And he was supposed to be doing a mainframe implementation, mainframe with some kind of a Java connection. I had absolutely no idea about mainframe. Right. And it so happened that on Thursday night, this person fell down a staircase and broke his leg. So he could not travel. And in the whole organization, there was only one person with a visa to travel, and that was me. Okay. Right. So on Friday morning, my supervisor tells me, Anu, you need to go to Citibank North America. And I'm telling him, I don't know mainframe. I have no idea what you're trying to do. What do you want me to do there? He said, don't worry. We are sending 2 other, fresh graduates. They were working on the program for the last 6 months. Absolutely fresh guys. They've done their homework. They'll come with you, and in the plane, they will tell you what's happening on this program. But you need to go, right? I was very skeptical, but I didn't have a choice. So I just had to sit on the plane. And then these 2 guys were feeding me with a lot of information on, what this project is all about. And then we landed there. And the first question the client asked us is, who in the 3 of you is the mainframe expert? So we were stumped as soon as we entered. But I'm so happy to share that this was one of my best programs that we delivered. We got 5 out of 5 rating from the customer at the end of the engagement. And I was also offered a job in Citibank, which I refused, of course. But I was told, if you want, you can join here in North America Citibank. What I wanted to just share is, often these kind of doors which suddenly open and you just grab those opportunities, something nice is awaiting at the end of the tunnel. Just take some risks and enjoy the journey.
Love your story on the crux of center of gravity. Actually, we can find it in financial space. That such a vibrant city of New York. Amazing. So you spoke about data in a very real sense, right? Because data is the new oil. If right now, if you look at it, tech industry is one of the highest valued organizations across the globe. And when I look at data, right, I have both sides of the game. One is data from a decision-making process. It makes sense having both your eyes open and taking the decision data, all of that. If you look at data, if I do look at data takeout.google.com, you will see how much of data that we have provided to all these big companies. I mean, what is your take on that? Being a data aficionado and building your base and everything on data, what is your view when it comes to the level of data. You and I, tech industry, we are in this position. Imagine the normal people on the ground. What is your take when, as far as data is concerned?
So your question is more in terms of the data security, or you're generally talking about how people are collecting data and how
Yeah.
that.
Oh, the second one, how much of data being, and then, so what is your take on that?
Yeah, I think last 10 years, we've seen this, frenzy of activity around collecting data, and everyone wants to collect data. And most people, what they're doing is they're just dumping it into a data lake, right? They don't even know what to do with the data, right? So there's huge volume of information sitting there, multiple copies, multiple versions, and it's just lying there as storage. Even some of the organizations I've worked with, I've seen that they've just put the data in the data lake and then they don't even know how to retrieve it or use it for better analysis purposes. Of course, we are seeing a trend where people are able to, slowly work towards building more intelligent dashboards based on data, collect it right and store it right, and then make useful messages out of it. I feel data is useful to provide a better experience to customers. Personalization is all about today's world, right? So you can personalize only if you have some level of information, right? And most of this information is about your phone numbers is always known. Phone numbers, email ID has become like a regular information without which you cannot really log in, into your Internet of Things. So that's not going anywhere, right? You just need to be careful about what you share, and that information is sufficient for a lot of people in terms of how they can help you with a more personalized evolution of software implementation. So I think it's the balance that we have to strike behind what can be shared, what cannot be shared, and how do they use this information to create a better experience rather than some kind of a misuse. So I think a lot of people are not educated in terms of when to share and when not to share. That is the key thing. In China, for example, there's no policy on data protection. No, data is completely owned by the government. The government has access to all your information, including the websites. Everything is monitored. So basically, there's nothing hidden from the government. But the good thing is that the government has actually got controls in place to monitor and take action in the right sense. So I think that's a good way of implementing it, having the right controls, making sure that there's no misuse. At the same time, giving the ability to share information for people so that they can get customized experiences. In India and a few other countries, even North America for that matter, I don't think we've still got there. We are far behind in terms of our data policies. In fact, I would say China is way ahead in terms of software implementations, as well as their entire journey on implementing some of the technology implementations, whether it's EV, AV, data analytics, AI, machine learning, deep learning. They are way ahead of other countries. So I think it's just a question of finding the right balance from each country so that customer is protected as well as the implementations help people.
I agree. Personalization, right? Without personalization, I can't imagine. Even our news, right? While our newspaper has everything, my Google News actually tells me exactly what I'm looking at.
Exactly.
And these are my interests. And things like when I have already read something, it doesn't even come and pop up my YouTube. So while I like some of these things, I last time when I opened my takeout.google.com, it told me that I have almost 26 GB of data of my browsing, my all that information is present. Astounding. Like you said, right? Hey, don't even know where to start. This is just me as a person, not even my company, nothing. I'm just one firm. I think what you said is right thing in terms of having a balance. Each company needs to balance how much of data are they collecting and putting the safeguards in place. The security. The moment I asked data, you said, "Are you talking about data security?" That's really the first thing that has to come in everybody's mind. And education is the hardest thing that is going to come up. I can't imagine
Yeah.
how the word is going to change, right? Changing gears from data. I see you when I heard your story, right? You've traveled across India. You've gone to the US. You've also then gone to China. So many countries. This is a story as a woman leader as well as a person with a family. How do you take those decisions? What are the factors of obviously your family support is important, all that is given. Is there any factor that says, okay, maybe if it is a short term, I will take it, or if it's a very good long position? What are the factors that you have?
So typically, I've been a very independent and risk-taking kind of profile. I make some quick decisions. But early on, when early career, I think when my daughter was young, smaller kids, definitely I used to think a lot in terms of decisions that I make, because especially when you come from a background where there's nobody to really show you this can be done as an example. Like, for example, I'm the first engineer in my entire family. There was nobody before me who had done engineering. So when I joined engineering, obviously, and that too, out of staying in a hostel and studying in a co-ed college, and my aunts and all frowned at us and said this is not the right decision. But I think I just listen to my mind, and my heart says this is what I want to do. I think that's the first thing, right? If I think that this is absolutely something that I want to do. And then, of course, the support of your near and dear one. How do they react to this, and will they? Sometimes you just have to take an estimate of how much of an impact this is going to be, right? And like when I went to China, I couldn't take my daughter along, so obviously there is an impact. My daughter and my mother-in-law could not come along, so there is an impact. But as long as your family can support and you're able to make it happen, I think we should make those steps to go where your heart goes, take those risks where possible. That's what makes your life enjoyable, because you get to take, not all decisions are yours, right? So some decisions at least you can make for yourself, and then things eventually do fall into place and work out. And then we realize that, yeah, probably this was the right thing to do, instead of just brooding on, waiting for the right opportunity. I always think that whatever decisions I've made has taught me something and has been a happy journey, and I've loved my decisions. So I think it's just a question of listening to your heart.
Lovely put. So nice to talk about being the first engineer. I remember back in 2000, I was the first one in the entire family who had traveled out of abroad. And I remember so well that I had my entire extended family, almost 18 of them had come to the airport. While my my colleague Rakesh Maurya had his wife come along, while he was astounded that such a large family had come to send me off. And those days, actually, you can come till the security check. You can come inside and say goodbye. So I remember those days where, you know, when you become the first person, there is always this fear, but it's also you become the harbinger of those
Yeah.
change. So the next generation doesn't fear that, okay, should we do this or not? Because somebody else who's been the role model, right?
Absolutely. I think, and women have come a long way from those days. I think 1988, when I was, in fact, before college itself, 2 years I was in hostel. I was in Baroda. I had to stay in a hostel because my parents had moved to Chennai, and I had to finish my 11th and 12th. So that itself was like a complete no-no, and my attes and all would be really upset. Even to talk to me, they'll start crying, saying that you're in, just for education purpose, why do you have to go to such lengths? Why can't you just get married and settle in? But I think, looking back, obviously proud of where I am, proud of my dad who supported me in all this, didn't give in to pressures from the family to say that this is right or wrong, right?
That is the biggest thing, right? The parent support. That you may think that everything that you've done is yours to take, the decisions, everything, but the level of pressure they must have been, it is amazing, right? I'm so proud of the kind of levels you've come to. And I'm itching to ask from the beginning is around RPA. What is it that in RPA that is making you on your feet? Because you being a lifelong learner, I thought that must have been a piece of cake to take a AI ML kind of a program with your data background and your disciplined program management skill. Isn't it similar to the BPM of the world, business process management, where you entirely map it to not have wastage? How different is it?
So the best part about RPA, right? All along, I see it as a system world and then something outside the system world, right? So all IT systems, all processes, data, everything, we've kind of built walls around it as systems landscape. And there are a lot of siloed implementations which happens. And we don't really connect to the last mile of every effort that we do, right? Be it getting data from external stakeholders, files coming in and going out. A lot of people have to put in a lot of business efforts to create a subset of data to share with other stakeholders. Same set of data being pumped into multiple different systems because of the siloed approaches to how software has evolved. Like, for example, in the Ford world, right? The vehicle, when you set up a vehicle information, the vehicle has a certain configuration. It is, it's called X in a market. Say in Australia, it's called X, and in Saudi Arabia, it's called Y. These are all configurations. These are simple data setups. But because of the siloed way, how the organization has grown, this data needs to be set up in multiple different systems in different ways. That itself takes a whole lot of people to be doing this every day in and out. And the beauty of RPA, which I realized after moving into this space, is RPA just becomes one other person of business, right? Is just saying, here, let me take that mundane task of yours and I can do it for you. It's sitting outside the system. It can go across system. It's system agnostic, right? The beauty of RPA is that you don't have to build and stay within those walls. You can go to different systems. You can go to a mainframe. You can go to an Excel. You can go to a Java, SAP, anything. There are plugins available. You can go to the UI, just pull the data. You don't have to look at backend integrations, and integrations are expensive. Here you're able to bridge all those gaps with some simple automations that you can do with small scripting or UI capture. So that's the beauty of RPA. And I think it's gonna stay. And though it's a little temporary in nature, because these gaps mostly will be temporary in nature. That's why probably nobody spent time to build those as part of the software systems. But these bots come in and they enable you to bridge all those gaps in terms of data validation, reconciliations. Imagine the amount of effort people put in. Even today, as program leads and general managers, we have to do so much of reconciliation for data, right? But if the bots can do it, they can do your monitoring, they can do your operations management intelligently. Using AI, there's so much of innovation that is possible. AI brings in the ability to do simple decisioning, right? You're able to make a call on some of those things that you see. So the bot and the AI combination is absolutely a fantastic combination, and it brings a whole new frontier which helps and enables business, which was not there before. So it's going to stay, and it's definitely going to keep growing into something much more bigger.
Amazing, if you do forward gazing or if you do future gazing, what is the technology that you can see? Um, I remember at least four of my guests have spoken about RPA. And here you are doing RPA today and saying how cool it is to say, think of RPA as another business user and having a seat in the table. It's almost humanizing the RPA part of it. I love it.
Yeah, there's so much still to be done because this space is evolving at a very rapid pace. There are the NLP engines in different languages because language enablement is growing day by day. The NLP engines which bring in this AI, the machine learning part of it, where we are building all those fancy data models and based on which we are able to come up with those insights, based on which we are able to act. Previously, when we did Hadoop and all the data analytics and all, you could create the dashboards, you could do the analytics, and that's there to see, and then you can react on it, right? As a human, you would react on it. But now the bots can go there, see that report, and they can act immediately. That's the beauty of RPA. So when you combine it, the AI, ML, and RPA together, the beauty is to be able to act on what you see and go to every mile. So the future, when we actually have a lot of technologies to enable AI, ML, the image-based searches, right? Google Lens is doing it. In fact, in China, the Alibaba groups and all, they have superb image recognition. You can buy things just by showing them a photograph. So, but we are not there yet. Even our Amazon searches are not there yet. You know, if you go and search on your Flipkart or Myntra and all, you wouldn't be able to do image-based searches. But that's going to be something very exciting, because based on images, now you don't need words. You just can show a photograph and you're done, right? So that's an exciting place to be in for manufacturing companies like ours. I think, ability to find parts in your warehouse just by the image, right? You don't need to know the name of the part or the part number. It's so difficult to remember things or find the data in terms of what that part is, right? If you can just show, oh, this is the thing I'm looking for. You don't need to know that this is a charger, right? So that's the exciting part of image recognition. So image, voice, and the ML part of it, of course, with NLP in different languages, is absolutely going to revolutionize the entire industry. Of course, RPA will continue to be the last mile connectivity, the task master, the action taker behind the scenes. That's still going to be RPA. And the big systems will continue to do their, oh, I'm so big that I cannot be bothered with all these smaller task implementations. That will still continue. So I think this just builds on the ecosystem of applications.
Very nicely put, Danu. With that, looking at the future, I know we are off time. So would you like to share some young professionals who are just joining? What is it that they need to take it to heart from your experience?
From my experience, what I've learned, and that's what I'm sharing, right, is to be open. I think that's very important, that you stay open. You don't close your doors by saying, oh, I'm a Java expert or I'm a BI expert. Don't close your doors. Keep it open. Be flexible in terms of exploring journeys. And sometimes when we go through the lowest of lows, we think that, oh, why do I have to, is this my worst days coming in kind of thing? There's something really nice and shiny at the other end of it. So don't lose heart, stay focused, and maybe there's something more exciting you can build on it, right? So like, for example, the RPA journey I had, I was thinking that this is probably, people are pushing me into corners because they didn't want me into a particular role or something. That's what my first thought was. But then I think after I've spent a year, I've realized absolutely what a fantastic boon it was for me. So don't lose heart and take some risks. Build a brand for yourself. You should be known for something, as simple as when I wash my vessels, my mother-in-law can make out that I washed it. That's my brand, because that's how I do it, right? So everything that we do, we should have our strengths in mind. We should be clear in terms of how we want to shine and have a brand of our own. So knowing ourselves, that will actually help us to be at peace with ourselves and not really look at running after people who are doing 10 other different things. You can always build your own brand. You can feel comfortable wherever you are and still be happy. So take care of yourself and enjoy your journey. As you go through it, enjoy it. That's most important.
Thank you. Thank you. With that note, thank you so much for your time today. I had a great deal of a time to talk about your journey and your learnings. I hope listeners too.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Gayatri.
Definitely.
We thank Siddharth for the music and Malavika for promoting the Software People stories.
If you like this episode,
Please subscribe on your favorite podcast client.
And spread the word in your network.
if you'd like to share your story,
Contact us at podcasts@pm-powerconsulting.com.